So what do you do when you want to draw something very, very small, like a person on a TV screen or a person in a portrait or some way smaller than all the other figures in the composition and not actually in the room, right? Like a photograph. What do you do? Do you make it as detailed as the figures, which are what? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, who knows how many times larger and real with shadows and three-dimensionality. I mean, obviously represented in a two-dimensional drawing. Or do you do something else? I think what you do is you do something else. And here again, we've got a page from R. Crumb. We're still in that same Mr. Natural goes to a meeting of the minds comic story in our Apex Underground book. Look what he's done here. That face is far less detailed than his normal face or composition. It's also less relying on parallel lines. We've just got some very simple markings there, and really the only parallel lines are that illusion of a background behind the character. The character itself is far more cartoony than his other characters in a way, as silly as that may sound. So here's my drawing. Not too original. It's actually our duck character holding a passport, but we've got this scenario that we just talked about. We've got a little photograph, a picture from the actual passport inset into the larger drawing. So what do I do with that? Am I going to make this as detailed as everything else? No, I'm going to keep it simple. So let's start with this. If you're familiar with passports, generally the older ones, I can remember my parents' passports, had an actual photograph. They weren't digital. Pasted into it. So this is the kind of fake passport that our duck is using to get into a town. So we've got pretty handsome character right there, and we want to ink it, but we don't want it to be anywhere near as detailed as everything else. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to use very, very sketchy inking style, not an inky style, an inking style. What I mean by that is I'm staying away from my super strong lines. I'm doing something a little bit more vague that's not going to pop quite as much. The glasses here, if this was a character, for instance, my duck character right there, I'd be very tempted to make this a very heavy object in the frame. Here I'm barely outlining it. The eyes are just going to be a little bit of black. I'm not going to put any details in there. Maybe like the furrow in the brow, because that seems to be a characteristic there. Again, I'm actually going for more cartoony than cartoony. Do the hairline. Not going to get too detailed. Beard line there. The mouth. Again, keep it dark, keep it simple. We're going to capture a couple lines for the most, just to kind of give a little direction to the beard. And maybe a couple more lines. I know I don't want to break my edict here and get too detailed, but just a little bit more. And got a little bit too much ear there. And if I wanted to, I could put the lines in that Crumb did, just to kind of show some separation from the background. I think I'll do that. Kind of gives like a halo effect. And there. It's very simple. It's not going to be as detailed as my main drawing, but I don't want it to be. I want it to be, just a little photograph in there and nothing more. There's a whole lot more in the Real Toy Chest of Doom. Gently tap the subscribe button to ensure that you're not shut out from any of the clay. Cheers.